Pinal County Sheriff, who says his deputies were working a major drug bust in Tucson last night when this same group of protesters disrupted their investigation.
America, this story is gonna make your blood boil. Anti-ICE protesters in Tucson just sabotaged a massive cartel bust that seized 5 million fentanyl pills, 32 pounds of cocaine, and 22 pounds of methamphetamine. These activists were so blinded by their hatred of immigration enforcement that they literally tried to stop law enforcement from getting deadly drugs off the streets. But here's the kicker. It wasn't even an ICE operation. It was a 6-month drug investigation that Pinal County Sheriff's Office targeted a cartel member.
Members of the same protests then turned their attention to nearby law enforcement activity outside of a home.
Off our streets! Off our streets!
They all went there thinking it was an ICE raid because these idiots don't have anything other than groupthink.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This is what happens when activist ideology becomes more important than public safety. These protesters were literally helping cartels by interfering with a major drug bust. Let me break down this absolute insanity for you. The Pinal County Sheriff's Office had been working on this drug investigation for 6 months. They finally executed their search warrants and arrested a cartel member who was an illegal immigrant with an outstanding warrant from Mexico for racketeering.
Pinal County Sheriff Ross Teeple says it wasn't an ICE raid at all, but a drug bust his deputies have been working on for 6 months.
But when these anti-ICE protesters showed up and started interfering with the investigation, Sheriff Ross Teeple didn't mince any words about what happened. These individuals, the protesters, actually blocked a Pinal County Sheriff's Office tow truck from removing the suspect's vehicle from a criminal investigation.
These individuals, the protesters, actually blocked a Pinal County Sheriff's Office tow truck from removing the suspect's vehicle from a criminal investigation.
Think about this. They were literally obstructing justice. The tow truck was trying to remove evidence from a major drug bust, and these activists physically blocked it. They were basically helping a cartel member by interfering with the collection of evidence.
They were not listening, that the police kept telling them that this was a drug investigation and for them to back up, and they accused him of being ICE.
Even when deputies repeatedly explained this wasn't an ICE operation but a drug bust, the protesters refused to listen. They were so consumed with their anti-law enforcement ideology that they couldn't process the basic facts. You know what, guys? Speaking of people who refuse to listen to facts and create chaos for vulnerable Americans, that is exactly what is happening to seniors with Medicare misinformation and predatory insurance tactics. While we're watching protesters ignore the truth about a drug bust, dishonest Medicare salespeople are spreading lies to seniors about their healthcare options. That is why I am proud to partner with Chapter. They're completely opposite of these chaos-causing activists. Chapter's licensed advisors actually listen to facts and provide honest information instead of spreading misinformation for their own agenda. Here's the difference. These protesters ignore law enforcement facts to push their ideology. Medicare scammers ignore seniors' real needs to push expensive plans. But Chapter's experts actually listen to your specific situation and provide truthful guidance based on facts, not politics. If you're 65 or approaching Medicare eligibility, don't let misinformation chaos confuse you like these protesters confused a drug bust. Chapter cuts through the noise with honest, straightforward advice, and it's completely free. Check them out at askchapter.org/Tyson or call 270-467-0614. When chaos and lies are everywhere, you need people who actually tell the truth. Now, let me show you exactly what these protesters almost helped cartels keep on our streets. This wasn't some small-time drug deal. This was a massive cartel operation that would have poisoned thousands of Americans.
During the bust, they also found over 5 million fentanyl pills and other drugs.
32 pounds of cocaine and 22 pounds of methamphetamines. He's a prohibited possessor, but he was found to have 4 firearms with him.
Let me put these numbers in perspective for you. 5 million fentanyl pills. That's enough to kill millions of Americans. The DEA says just 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. And this cartel member wasn't just dealing drugs. He was armed to the teeth with 4 firearms, despite being a prohibited possessor. This is exactly the kind of dangerous criminal that ICE and local law enforcement need to to work together to remove from our community. Sheriff Teeple perfectly captured the absurdity of this situation. These idiots came out to protest us getting 5 million fentanyl pills off the streets, 32 pounds of cocaine off the streets, 22 pounds of methamphetamines off the streets.
Protested us getting 5 million fentanyl pills off the streets.
What makes this story even more infuriating is how these protesters got there in the first place. They had just finished vandalizing a business and causing violence at an anti-ICE protest that was declared an unlawful assembly by Tucson police.
As an anti-ICE protest on Tucson's south side turned violent Wednesday night, with several businesses vandalized and Tucson police declaring an unlawful assembly.
I think they make a big difference. It's sending a message that we won't take all of these ICE raids laying down.
Members of the same protests then turned their attention to nearby law enforcement activity.
So these activists went from destroying private property to sabotaging a drug bust. They heard there was law enforcement activity and immediately assumed it was ICE because of their warped worldview. Any law enforcement is automatically evil. One resident perfectly described the chaos these protesters brought to this peaceful neighborhood.
We were surprised because this is a very quiet neighborhood and there were like 30, 40 cars, police cars, and with so many people.
We were surprised, she said. Another neighbor pointed out how the protesters completely violated their community.
They're definitely crossing the line because this is a private community. Everybody here respects each other. Our privacy was totally violated.
This incident perfectly describes the dangerous consequences of anti-law enforcement movements. These activists are so blinded by their ideology, they're literally helping cartels operate in American communities. Sheriff Teeple offers some sage advice for these protesters that they clearly need to hear.
Take a moment and use a little bit of cognitive reasoning. If something you're being told doesn't make sense, research it a little bit more.
Take a moment and use a little bit of cognitive reasoning. If something you're being told doesn't make sense, research it a little bit more. But here's the real problem. These activists don't use cognitive reasoning. They're operating on pure emotion and anti-American ideology. They see law enforcement and immediately assume it's oppression, even when officers are literally saving lives by getting deadly drugs off the streets. Tucson Police Chief Chad Casimir tried to give the protesters the benefit of the doubt, saying it was just a few bad actors. But when your entire movement is based on opposing law enforcement, this is the inevitable result.
Because it's everybody's responsibility to make sure that these community events are safe. And so it's a little bit of a call to action that I have for the entire community. I don't think that's reflective of what we want people to see in Tucson. And as a safe expression of their voice, I think there's better ways to do that.
While these protesters were busy playing activist games, real families are being destroyed by the fentanyl crisis. Every single one of those 5 million pills could have ended up in an American community, killing somebody's son, daughter, mother, or father. The cartel member they arrested had an outstanding warrant from Mexico for racketeering. This was a career criminal working for one of the most violent organizations on earth. And thanks to the protesters' interference, the investigation was disrupted. The evidence collection was delayed. They literally helped a cartel operation by obstructing justice. Sheriff Teeple made it clear this suspect is going to face serious consequences. They're going to throw the book at him on this situation. The suspect has been handed over to Homeland Security investigation for federal prosecution.
And at this point, Pinal County is not identifying the suspect in this case. The sheriff tells me he's been handed over to Homeland Security investigations. Couldn't tell me his exact charges, but says that they are going to throw the book at him.
America, this story perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with radical left's approach to law enforcement and immigration. They're so consumed with their anti-ICE, anti-police ideology that they're literally helping cartels poison American communities. These protesters didn't just interfere with the drug bust, they sided with a cartel member against American law enforcement. They chose to protect a criminal with an outstanding warrant for racketeering over the safety of American families. 5 million fentanyl pills, 32 pounds of cocaine, 22 pounds of methamphetamine, and 4 illegal firearms. That's what these activists almost helped keep on our streets. Every single one of those pills could have killed an American. This is why we need strong law enforcement and secure borders. This is why ICE and local police need to work together. And this is why the anti-law enforcement movement is so dangerous to our community. deputies. Sheriff Teeple called these protesters idiots, and frankly, that's being generous. When your activism involves helping cartels and obstructing justice, you're not fighting oppression, you're enabling evil. I'll keep you updated on this story as it develops, and remember, when activists side with cartel members over law enforcement, they've lost all moral authority. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.